Okay, and we are live. So welcome to Nerd Rage, the program that embraces the nerd and the rage in one. We have a topic here. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. And I know Heidi submitted it. So the topic for today is, if you could live in any time period, what would it be and why? And I'm going to start with Heidi because she's the one who submitted this. So go. Heidi, what time period would you want to live in and why?
Sorry, I'm still sending out invites.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can chat about something else for a minute while you invite people.
Oh, it's okay. I'll go back and send out some more in a few minutes. But yeah, I would want to live in the future because seeing how far we've come so far, I can only imagine how much cooler it'll be in 100 years.
That's interesting because when I read the question, I wasn't thinking future as an option. I was thinking past. But
oh, you want to limit me? You want to limit me? I can do the past too if you want. Yeah. Okay. So past, I would want to live. Probably during Egyptian times.
Ooh.
During the time of the pharaoh, and hope that I was royalty.
Hope that you were royalty.
If I wasn't, it would really suck. But it would be interesting to see all of the advancements they had that we are only just beginning to discover, to actually live in that time period and see, why was the pyramid built the way that it was? Did it have a kinetic power system that we are just playing with the idea of that, I don't know, did it? Or, we've already learned now that the Greeks were far more advanced than we ever gave them credit for. So I think we would find the same with the Egyptians. Yeah, that's where I would want to go.
Rebuttal. Argue.
I don't know, Egyptian times. You probably have to get a whole host of vaccines before you went back. I mean, just based on the 12 plagues of Egypt, all that nonsense, and it would be horrible. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I'd say that in any question, if you're going to limit it to the past, because I too would go into the future, that is a given, but you have to look at what social economic bracket you're going to be in. Because if you're a peasant, miserable no matter when you are. But if you're a member of the nobility, it ain't so bad. And you stole mine.
Well, I don't know about that. I think in the French Revolution, the nobility might disagree with you.
Yeah, but that was just such a short blip.
Let's not limit it to just the past. We can do future as well. I was curious because I didn't even think about it myself. The future, I was just thinking the past. So absolutely keep it open to whatever, whenever, wherever you want. For me, I would have to say, I don't know, you brought up a point. Seeing how the pyramids were built. I think for me, I would be something around Stonehenge or Atlantis. I want answers to questions. I say that now, but then when I'm there and I'm having evil druidic stuff happening to me, I'll have a different answer.
And to be fair, actually, in the druid culture, from what we know of it, you and I probably would do far better there than in most cultures because we're female. And the druids were a more balanced society and less patriarchal. So, but that's also part of why I chose the Egyptians, because they tended towards a more balanced society as well.
Yeah, the thing about the Celts and the Norse, well, it's true. It was they were both fairly well balanced, but they also had very strict limitations for both males and females of things that you were allowed to do and you weren't allowed to do. For example, a man would not ever be allowed to work a loom.
I would not be okay with that.
However, women, they did go a Viking, but that was sort of because they had a loophole. When they did it, they had to dress like men, and they had to behave as men for the entire time that they were on the longship for the raid. They could go back to being women when they came home if they wanted to.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, it's just a matter of practicality. If you're looking at a primarily male crew on a small ship living in tight quarters, sorry. One woman acting as a woman, that's going to cause problems. But interestingly enough, sort of an aside, but I'll just quickly say it. If a man wanted to study the Seth mysteries, that was women's magic. So he had to live as a woman for the entire time of his study.
Yeah.
So he would do women's work, but he also had to wear women's clothing and basically live as a woman for that time period. It's kind of neat.
It was neat. I know what you're talking about. I ran into that research too when I was doing the Viking research, where if a male practiced the Saith, it was considered very low for a male to do so. It was disgraceful. And yeah, it was very, very disgraceful. And it was interesting because there's like a whole side topic regarding cross-dressing during the Old Norse cultures and how they viewed it. So Loki's involved with that. But welcome, Susanna. Our topic is, I can't remember because I have a short-term memory thing here.
What time in history would you live?
Yeah, that. And why? The why is important.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Because the weird thing is I couldn't get to work on my computer, but I was able to answer the video call on my phone. So I'm actually doing this via my phone.
Okay.
I don't know what is going on my computer right now, but it just decided to do that.
It's okay. We're blaming Bill Gates for that stuff today.
And you look great on your phone, so you're good.
So where would you live and why? When and where would you live and why? Future or past?
See, I minored in history in college, which means I can't look at anything romantically, because my knee-jerk reaction is, oh, I would love to live in, the chivalric era, like, 13th, 14th century, and then I think about the lack of indoor plumbing. So
I was in the SCA for 9 years. I know it.
You know what? Actually, I think I would like to live in America, but before Europeans found it. So way back then, probably. Just to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a matter of finding a culture that's not prejudiced, racist, plagued, diseased, dirty, or sexist.
Well, I mean, we can't. I'm sure there wasn't a utopian. There are no utopian societies. I'm sure there were still problems and there were still illnesses, and we have to be careful not to romanticize, even Native American culture. But to understand it purely or at least a particular tribe would be interesting. And mostly it's not even that, it's just being able to see the North American continent before we started really building on it. I would just love to be able to see the old pine forests in the southeast that used to be here, because our indigenous pine, we almost don't have any of it anymore. There's like a couple of farms left, like Brook Green Gardens is cultivating some of the old indigenous pine in this area, but most of it was cut down, and just to be able to see old forest again, I think. So that's kind of my answer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Richard, do you have an answer? Nick? Where would you live? And I'm going to point out the word any here. That's really opens it up. Any time period. Any.
Realistic or fantasy?
Either way. She wrote any. So I'm going to hold her to that.
Oh, I'd like to live in my, I guess, a fantasy world. with the elves and druids and stuff like that. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking Harry Potter's world would be cool.
That would
That would be. Although the Little Mermaid crossed my mind. I'm like, that would be a realm I could dig. So, although, and I'm going to go absolute science here. I was looking into some research on the real mermaids. What realistically could happen if they did exist, because there's like a lot of National Geographic hype going on right now that, yeah. And I saw this one, it was fantastic. It was someone from a university, a professor sat down and went over marine life, and he was explaining that, well, first of all, you're dealing with the pressure of the ocean. So in order for the mermaid to withstand the pressure alone, you're looking at her having to be severely blubberous or flat in shape. It's kind of like a manatee. You're also looking at her having to have inches of blubber on her, because now you're looking at insulation from the cold. So now she's got to have skin like a blubber, like a manatee. And then you're looking at things like her arms and fingers would be frozen from frostbite. So she would have short, stubby arms. So the picture I got when I did find it, because he drew it for you, was a sea cow that looked like a female human with little arms like that. It was great. So he's really...
I was having to do I was working on like a freelance article listing the various mermaid sightings, and I have a little bit of a pet peeve about that, because Animal Planet came out with those documentaries,
Yeah.
and a lot of people believed it, and then Discovery Channel went and did the same documentaries, and they had like a disclaimer, but it was up for like maybe 5 seconds of the end credits. By then, everybody's switched over to some other channel, and now there's and so people are thinking, oh well, if they're hiding mermaids, what else are they hiding? And they could be lying about climate change because they're lying about mermaids and crap like that. So even though the article is not supposed to, I had to like begin it with that.
Yeah, no, beginning it with, putting it at the end is really not. I love that you brought up climate change. That is like, I started watching Bill Nye. Love Bill Nye. Genius marketing, by the way. That man comes on, and I'm like, I saw his name, and I'm just like, Bill Nye, click. I had to watch it because I was one of the 10-year-olds watching him when I was 10 back 20 years ago. And I went, that's really interesting, because he just implanted his awesomeness with a whole generation of people 20 years ago, so that when he comes on now, he doesn't have to market. He just has to throw our name at us and we'll go, because it's Bill Nye. And my kids are coming home seeing Bill Nye, the science guy now. And I'm like, how do you know about Bill Nye? And they're like, we watched it at school. And it's really interesting, because genius marketing that he started like 20 years ago. But he talks about climate change, and the way he threw it out there was really interesting. It was the first time I walked away from the topic and I went, I got it. All right, I'm good with it. So I think for me, also, if I were to go in the future, it would probably be 100, 200 years in the future, because I want to see what we've done with the generations politically speaking. I like to think that we're fixing a lot, and we will be fixing a lot. And I'm from the 80s, so I was there when we trashed the planet. And then the massive, we need to start recycling movement hit. And then they altered the way we think about garbage and recycling. And then I watched, as I became an adult, how they implemented that. And now I'm seeing I remember when we were, when I was 5 and 10, you would just throw garbage away. And today it's make sure you sort it. And that's definitely changed in the last 15, 20 years. So I do see how active we are with hands-on making corrections and fixing ourselves and making sure we're doing things better and thinking about the future. So I would like to go 100, 200 years in the future to see how we have fixed the global warming issue and the climate change and all these other issues. And I want to know if Caldeira's exploded yet. So
if we're colonizing other planets, because they have the first mission scheduled for 2064 to go to Mars. So
what year is it that they're going to Mars?
We have an actual colony that's operating there.
2064, you said? Is that when we're planning on?
Yeah, 2064. Elon Musk is putting it together. So yeah.
Yeah. I am not someone who wants to die on Mars.
I don't want to die. I just want to go on the adventure.
I don't. There's no trees
Well, it's a
there.
one-way trip right now, so.
If I can't go with my cat, I'm not going.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You would like to
That's,
take your
that's,
cat?
I need a mug that says that. If I can't take my cat, count me out. Yes.
Yeah.
You would like to take your cat?
I have one that I'm marketing now, and I had to put in a ship's cat. I just couldn't have a ship without a cat.
Yeah. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple. There's a cat in both of my fantasy books. I have a ship's cat, a Viking cat, based on our Norwegian forest cat here, and then I have a cat in the kitchen in book 2. And I'm like, yep, I got my cats.
Yep. Gotta have the
It's
kitty.
really common in the 14th, 15th century because they would kill the rats, and everyone was afraid of the rats because they carried the plague.
Mhm.
So they would take cats on the ship with them.
Mm-hmm. See, that would be another reason why I would go to ancient Egypt. The cats. I would probably be the person who went back in time to start the whole let's worship these things. That's me. I have been back in time. That's what I did. That was my contribution to history. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah. They actually think they found the area where the original house cat was bred, because they found a whole bunch of 2 different breeds of wild cats that have been mummified in this particular temple, and they feel that the original house cat was a cross between these 2, because one was very amicable to humans, but there was something woggy with it that it would go nuts, and the other one was a little more even-tempered, and that's why they brought them together.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Crossbreeding.
Yeah. We need to do like a whole cat topic, because, well, animals in general. I love animals. And I love people.
Animals in general, because
Yeah.
Cats. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I love animals, and I love other people who love animals just as crazy as I am, because when I find somebody who loves animals as much as I do, it's reassurance for me that I'm not crazy. like I have peppers
most days, so you're not crazy.
I'm out in the gardens and I've got like this pile of seed right next to me. Like, here's me and here's the pile of seed. And my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm luring chickadees. I'm going to feed chickadees this year out of my palm. They say it can be done. I'm going to do it this year. That is my bucket list. I'm going to feed chickadees out of my hand.
Come up to Hamilton. Go.
Used to live in
Go.
century anywhere. You would have been burned as a witch.
I would be. I'm convinced of it. Which, notice, I did not say 13th century.
Don't feel bad. I feel the same way.
No, I would be burned as a witch. There's certain time periods I am avoiding.
Yeah. I will say this: if you want to feed chickadees out of your hand, visit Hamilton. Go to the Royal Botanical Gardens. Do the marsh walk. Just hold out your hands. They will swarm you.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. And I have one like really close to me. Once they realize you're fine, they're very, very good. I'm working on my chickadee calls and everything, and I got one sitting like right beside me, and I'm like, you will eat out of my hand. Love my chickadees. So yeah, we really need to do like a whole panel just on animals. So love animals.
Yeah. Okay.
Anywhere else anyone would go?
Well,
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", and I'm blonde hair, blue eyed. So I'd want to go to a time period where that would be seen as freakish, just so I could take advantage of that, be a monster, horror author. I want to be a monster. So I'm thinking, where could I do this? What could I do? Japan. Go to like 6th century Japan. Walk around. Average height back then was like 4 foot. Average height was like 4 foot. Just carry around a big club people. Take the crap.
I saw one of their weapons. I will never step foot in that time period in that country.
Are you kidding? Do you know who had those weapons?
Well, this weapon is a long stick, which I'm fine with that part. But at the end of the stick, there is this hand. It's a metal claw-like hand, like a human hand, and they've sharpened each of the fingertips into a point. And the goal with this hand stick is to whack people with it, and it grabs. And yeah, I saw this weapon in use, and I'm just
that's tame. That's tame compared to some medieval weaponry. I mean, the Morning Star was essentially club fights coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they didn't have the Morning Star. They're in 6th century Japan didn't have too many effective weapons. They had the bow and arrow, and I'd go back with some effective armor.
There you go. The armor. I would take science back with me. I would screw with them.
I'd take science back with me.
Yeah, I'd be like, look, fire. You know.
No, and I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, look, shotgun. I mean, look, behold the magic. Boom.
Yeah.
Well, when did the Chinese invent the cannon, though? I mean, they were the first ones with gunpowder.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Chinese, though. I'm talking about the Japanese. The Japanese were behind the Chinese by several centuries because of the fact that they had racial tensions between each other.
The Chinese, I believe, started using gunpowder somewhere around the 1200s, but don't quote me on it.
1200 CE?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
a few centuries ahead of Europe, you know.
Yeah, I mean they got us beat by a while, but I would choose Japan because they were extremely superstitious, and you convince them you're a spirit of some sort, and you look different than them drastically, like I would, then yeah, they totally.
No, I changed my answer. I changed my answer.
Let's hear it.
There is one. Okay, so this one requires a little bit of history. The Irish are absolutely, they have an amazing history to them. When the Christians were imperializing and taking over, and part of their imperialization across all of Europe was slaughtering and terrorizing. It was very, very messy. And the only reason why Ireland went untouched by this was because St. Patrick arrived in Ireland. And he grew up there. So when they came back and they were going to send somebody to Ireland to do the imperialization, he said, oh, I got you covered. Everything's all right in Ireland. They've converted, when they really didn't. And so they never, ever sent anything to Ireland to take it over. And it involved burning all their manuscripts, destroying their artwork and their culture. It was involved. So St. Patrick basically went in, and it was a very, very laid back conversion for Ireland, which is hilarious because it was just very, very gradual over a prolonged period of time. Now, Ireland also had their hands in the scholars, and this is where the Druids and bards were, where they would orally pass down tradition and story from generation to generation. It was a very amazing, complex process. And that's when they started working on the illuminated scripts. Now, while Christians were burning everything across all of Europe and destroying cultures, Ireland went untouched until the 1700s. They managed.
I don't know where you're getting the Christians burning everything in sight.
I'm talking about the Muslims, the Crusades, that culture, the Spanish culture.
The Christians were sending trade routes and against the Ottoman Empire that was coming in. The
Ottoman Empire, the 200 AD.
The empire that they were defending trade routes and things, which are making it sound like Christians were just tearing through the landscape.
Well, no, this is over centuries, like almost 1,000 years. This wasn't. This was very gradual.
No.
It was actually Charlemagne who went through and did a heck of a lot of damage. And Charlemagne and his bloody-handed hordes with their battle cry "Convert or Die" really did shatter a lot of cultures in his attempt to rebuild the Roman Empire as a theocracy, which he succeeded in when you look at it.
Olaf I did the same thing to Norway, too. It was the same bloody mess in Norway and Scandinavia, where it was, again, convert or die.
Yeah.
And but Ireland went untouched until the 1700s. They were invaded by England, and everything was burned. They burned so much of these illuminated manuscripts. They lost so much history that they managed to hang on to for 1,000 years. I would go back to that time period and get all those books out of there. That's
So
where I would.
manuscripts were mostly gospels and things. Why would Christians burn their own gospels?
I don't know why they did it. They did it. It's the illuminated manuscripts. I don't.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, we lost a lot of Irish manuscripts there.
I spent a good deal of my degree in history studying that specific rise and fall of the Roman Empire with emphasis on Christianity. That was my thesis. Yeah, they tore through Europe like a plague of their own. They did it eradicating other cultures and absorbing what was left of the remnants so that they could form their own unified religion. It was between them and Mithras. And Mithras was a religion that honored battle. And so the men loved it because they would go off to battle. And, you die in battle, you go to heaven. Bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Well, the women generally didn't go off to battle. So they were left at home with the kids and the elderly who weren't going off to battle either. And they were hearing about this religion about Christianity that said everyone goes to heaven as long as you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and go to church and do what you need to do.
Not necessarily in the earliest periods, because there was a big debate whether women had souls or not in Christianity.
Well, this was after Constantine's big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Constantine the First, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After he made Christianity the religion of the empire.
Mm-hmm.
Because that put an end to the whole Mithras cult. And after that, they tore through pretty much everywhere they conquered. And they'd recruit the men and put Roman governors in, and Christianity would spread from Italy and Constantinople and all the centralized places to go to the areas, burn heretical writings, get rid of heretical artwork, and build churches. They were big on building churches.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, 1700s. And I would get the books out. I would get all the illuminated manuscripts. So that's yeah.
I'm still for the future, to be honest with you. Even a dark and dismal one like I predict in the my Tinker books, there's still pockets of higher tech.
Yeah, I see the word plague back there, and it's like...
Yeah. Yeah, well, the plague is the fault of basically our generation. It's a couple of farmers stumbled across it, and they're mostly an 1800s technology.
Yeah.
But the pockets have more advanced medical tech, and that's something I would dearly love. Something that could restore cartilage would be just perfect.
Yeah.
Did someone leave?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Susanna left.
I'm just saying.
I think she was feeling a little uncomfortable with the horrible, horrible truths we were speaking.
Oh well.
Richard, are you still there?
I think he stepped away for a minute.
Okay.
And doesn't say he left.
We lost Susanna.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she...
Sorry, I was over the YouTube section. I missed that.
Mm-hmm. Is there anywhere else anyone would visit?
I don't know, Japan.
That's a completely different thing.
What is? I'm sorry?
Oh, he said visit. That's a completely different thing.
Oh, visit. Okay. Be born. Well, yeah, I have to go back to the topic then. How did you word this, Heidi?
Mine was live. So you would be stuck there. It wouldn't be just going
yeah, it's not. Yeah, if you could live in any time period. Would you be taking...
There's lots of places I'd like to visit and see what really happened. I can think of a very specific day, the day that Hitler died. I would have loved to have been in that room to see what actually happened.
Wow, that's... Yeah, I would never. That's a place that, again, I'm like, I don't want to step near there.
I'd like to see what happens. But again, that's talking about visiting. I wouldn't have wanted to live.
I would also want to go. Well, no, I don't think I would. I was going to say Alexandria, the Library of Alexandria, and get those books out too. I'm obsessed with getting the books out. Yeah. Well, artifacts too. It wasn't just the books. It was a full museum.
That's a bit too much stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anybody with a TARDIS is going to have an absolute bucket list.
I'm just
of places that
glad
they want to
I'm
go.
not the one who brought it up.
TARDIS?
Yes.
You were thinking it, weren't you?
I was the whole time. I'm just like, I'm not going to say TARDIS. I'm going to behave.
Hey, Richard.
Hey guys, I don't know what happened, but like everything crashed over here on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, Susanna got kicked out too. I don't know what happened with that, but hopefully she'll be able to come back.
So Richard, do you have any places that you would want to go?
Lots of different places. I'd definitely like to check out the Old West. Learning what I've learned as a Western writer and Western author, and just the romance of it, in movies and books and stories and stuff over, the last century or so. Really, I'd really love to be a part of that. Check it out. Wander around the small, what are now ghost towns, and be part of that whole, the gold rushes and the silver mines, and just walking into the saloons and stuff like that. That'd probably be something I'd love to check out. There's a lot of different things that I'd like to try because I'd also like to visit some of the old, like King Arthur times.
Yeah.
I think, yes, other than the fact of no indoor plumbing, but beyond that, just the time period and like the time with King Arthur and the Templar Knights and them, searching for the Holy Grail constantly and everything like that. I think it'd be really something to be part of.
Yeah. The indoor plumbing thing isn't so bad if you're in the mobility, because you had the castles.
And they did. Some people had indoor plumbing. Like Rome had indoor plumbing. It's actually not new. It was actually castles in the 12th century had working toilets.
Well, their toilets tended to be, you had a hollow wall in the center of the castle and a shelf on it, and it fell down, and hopefully you had a river that ran through to carry it away.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a working toilet.
Yes, it works.
Yes. So, and I think the showers, because the bathroom issue was not an issue. There were options. There were decent options. And I think it's the bathrooms, but the Turkish baths, like they mastered the art and the beauty of bathing properly with Turkish baths and the Roman baths. So if you get the time period right, you don't have to settle for an ice cold river in the middle of winter. So
well, the baths lasted in many
winter. I'm just saying.
Say that again?
Hello, boy. Come on.
The baths lasted in Europe in big cities until about the 17th century, when the Protestant Reformation, the Protestants, well, not the Reformation already happened, but the Protestants started having problems with it because prostitution became such a big thing, and prostitutes would hang out at the baths. So they kind of closed down the communal bathing, and hygiene kind of became an issue again. So
I see cat and I just went stupid.
Yep. It's Bastel. It's my boy.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah,
Now, if you could take back a luxury with you, like almost like the Survivor Island, where you can take one modern day object with you, what would it be? Would that change
Swiss
any of
Army
your
knife.
Would it change any of your answers? Like if you could take indoor plumbing back with you to any of these locations, would it alter your answer?
No.
With the Swiss Army knife, I'll fix it. I'll put in my own.
I know how to make indoor plumbing, so Japan.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna sway from that. You're set on the I want to go somewhere where I can terrorize people.
Yeah, I'd be the crazy ogre that has a toilet. I live in a cave and I have a toilet. What are you gonna do about it?
I would still avoid that 12th, 13th century time period. Like there's like from 10th century all the way up to about the 16th century. I would absolutely avoid because I would be burned as a witch right there.
Well, yeah, and you're no offense, you're a woman, so I mean,
Yeah.
you had
Oh no,
you had say.
no. Let me tell you what this really is. I have a mark on my back. I have a mark on my back that literally looks like Orion's belt. I would be burned as a witch. They would see this pattern on my back, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, you're a witch." So no, I have like a 400-year period of I'm avoiding that time. So
Yeah, you were saying, Heidi?
Well, I was saying not only is she a woman, but she's also a very independent thinking woman. And those were typically the women who were accused of witchcraft.
I would not keep my mouth shut.
I think I would have ended up in the same situation.
I wasn't even thinking independent thinking. I was thinking just, I mean, that's narrowing the scope. You have ovaries, therefore, at that time period, you did not matter.
Yeah,
so, I hate to laugh about that. I shouldn't.
No, it is funny. No, there really is it's the way it is. Yeah, I have accepted this, and it's okay. And my infatuation with cats, this is not going away. This is just does not. And I love black cats. It's not just cats. I love black cats. So yeah, I'd be the crazy cat lady in town who doesn't keep my mouth shut, and I'd have cats all over me, and I've got a mark on my back where they'd go, "You're a witch." Yep.
Of course, the main thing is, do you have property? Property, and they want it, then you're a witch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could be that. I could be the person who went back to ancient Egypt, implemented the let's worship cats, went back to the 14th century, and they said, "It was you!" And they killed me. You know, that's another possibility.
Meanwhile, in Japan,
I think that the odds are that as a woman, I'd be treated better in the future than any time in the past. So,
is there a time period that you absolutely do not want to be in?
Civil War, definitely not.
2017.
Well,
hey, I did not want to incarnate at this time. I'm sorry.
Stephen, I have some bad news for you. It is 2017.
Yes, I know.
Richard, Nicholas.
So many different time periods. I mean, any time period in which there was a Slavic migration, which was when they had a large migration of people from Eastern Europe moved from Western Europe. So you have all these people moving through, wars starting because of it, change in power happening, governments toppling, plague spreading. I mean, so if I showed up and there were just 90% of the population was homeless because it was moving, I'd be like, "Oh, great, I'm screwed."
That's why you would go to Japan.
Yeah, they didn't. They had a very controlled population throughout most of their history.
Mm-hmm. Richard, where would you not want to be?
Auschwitz, I guess.
Oh,
yeah. Anything Europe, World War II. I'm good.
If there was a place I would not want to be, would be I wouldn't want to be in that time period or be a part of, to say it and not say it in a mean way or anything, but be a Jew during World War II. That's I would not want to be.
Yeah.
Helping, for that matter.
It's like saying you don't want to be
part of the population that ended up there, not because they were Jewish by faith or Jewish by birth, but because they helped their neighbors who were Jews.
Yeah. No, that whole time period is one I would not. I don't think there was any place that was. Yeah, that whole time period.
Now, World War I was a miserable time too, especially when the swine flu. Yeah, it was the swine flu started sweeping through, and you're up to your waist in mud.
Yeah.
Sick as a dog, and it's raining.
Yeah.
And people are shooting at you. Not not a very friendly time.
Yeah, my daughter just came home talking about trench rot a couple days ago.
I was just about to say something.
They just started World War One,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you need to watch War Horse. She's too young yet, but I'm like, when you get around to it, that's the movie to watch if you want to see World War One. And I had her watch one scene from it, the scene when it was the horse ran through no man's land, and she was this was frightening. She was able to look at it and go, that's not accurate. Those trenches are clean from what I saw in history class. And I'm like, good girl. Yeah. So yeah, World War One is not.
Yeah. Well, the German trenches were actually very clean. They were lined with concrete. They were a decent place. It was the Allied trenches, our side,
The British
were swamps. Yeah.
Yeah, the American trenches. Okay. All right.
Well, the Germans prepared for everything for that because they wanted to start the war, so they had time to prep, and frankly, just World War I was this nightmare of technology being used for the first time since huge confrontations, and we'd made such technological advances that everyone turned it on each other and just let loose to see what would happen, and mean, you had just. It was like throwing a pig into a wheat thresher. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, well, that's really the problem with all modern warfare. There isn't a winner because the mechanics of war now devastate anything that you'd loot. You go back 10,000. Well, you go back 1,000 years. The tech was such that, yeah, you killed a bunch of people, but there was some good swag to be had.
Well, we're going back to that with biological weapons and radiation. So
true, the neutron bomb was kind of a scary one. If anybody doesn't know, the neutron bomb
somewhere where it was irradiated. Sorry, I'm just not willing to take that risk. No,
well, not the food. Yeah, you gotta leave certain things like the irradiated wheat. Yeah, leave that for the rats. Yeah. But no. you can take the gold. You can take the gold. I mean, you can take.
Yeah, but what is gold worth? It's only worth what people intrinsically put on it. And when a huge part of the population is destroyed, what value does it have?
Yeah, look at any time period during history that we can really recall, and they had value on gold for no real reason other than look, it's shiny.
Because everybody agreed that there was a value.
Yeah, and of course everyone will agree there's a value to it, barring. We're in the zombie apocalypse when gold is literally just too heavy. It's a paperweight. People aren't going to want it. But
one of the things that I loved the most when I was doing my research is when I came into the Spice Islands and how valuable the spices were, and salt was an actual currency at one point. It was just absolutely fascinating how very little they got in and how expensive it was when they did get their hands on spices: nutmeg, clove, cinnamon, salt, pepper. These were things that were absolutely rare, precious treasures, which is why they had salt cellars, is because when you did get salt, it was so expensive that you didn't just throw it into a salt container. You had a cellar for it that was usually lined with gold. And it was really fascinating when I did that back in the 10th century along what was coming through on the Silk Roads. Absolutely fascinating. I couldn't throw salt away for like a month after that, by the way. I spill a little bit of salt and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, the stuff your research leads you to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a guest watching, J.B. Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He says that the fall of Rome was a really nasty time. He wouldn't want to live then.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would like to go there. Hell, I'd like to.
Wait a minute. I love Rome. I love Roman history. So the fall of Rome to me is very vague because that's like 400 years of history. So are you talking about when the Huns first came over, or are you going back to around 300? Are you talking about 60 A.D.? What exactly is happening in history during that time period? I see Mountain Dews and Twinkies. That's very yes.
Yeah, there's about a 3-minute delay, so he'll answer that question. in
Yeah,
about 3
yeah, no, I'll wait for him. It's okay. I'm now going through here, and thank you for the nerd rage. Yes, thank you for that. Yep, definitely keeping this. I don't like topics that everyone agrees on. I like the tension and the friction and the arguments. So there's going to be a lot of that.
That's if we all talked about our love of cats and how much we want to eat them, then it would just be this one big happy festival where nothing would happen.
You did that on purpose. There's nothing happy about the Huns. Okay, yeah. No, that I'm down with that section. Yeah. I love the Hun invasion with the Ottoman Turks. I'm sorry, Ottoman Turks. Ostrogoths. I'm getting my history mixed up because I'm excited about this. You mentioned a Hun and an Ostrogoth, and I'm like, yeah, that's good stuff there.
You gotta love the history, and as for the cats, I wanted to let you know how I feel about them. When I grew up, I had a cat named Roadkill, and I had a cat named Dog Food.
Yeah. Roadkill. My stepdad had a cat named Dish Rag once.
Named what? I'm sorry?
It was named Dish Rag. I don't remember why. I just know that the cat's name was Dish Rag.
We had a cat with 8 different names once. Like everyone in the house had at least 1 to 2 names for this cat. So there was George, Raoul, Fred, Cat. There were more. I just can't remember them.
That poor cat was probably thought she was
confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a cat that was a rescue, so it was fully grown when we got it. She was a Persian pug, white Persian pug, and her name was Satin. And within 6 months, we had all lovingly renamed her Satan. Yeah. Because she was straight up evil cat.
I love people who hate cats.
And then claw you in the back.
Yeah.
To get you out of bed so she could sleep in your bed.
Yeah, no, I love people who hate cats. When people tell me that they hate cats, I have to do this. Let me pick your brain. How could you hate cats? And the stories I get. There's this one lady who's, I've got 2 cats here. So she comes over and she's just like, get them away from me. And I'm like, so you hate cats. Why? And I want to dissect her and figure out what's going on. What happened? And of course, there's a story. There's always a story. People don't just hate cats for no reason. The cat, when she had REM, she would sleep and her eyes would flicker with REM, and her cat thought that it was a toy. So she would like bat at her eyes and bite them to try and catch them because that's what cats do. And I love it. That's what cats do. Isn't it cute?
That is straight up hell right there. You're trying to sleep and something's biting your eyes.
See, I would give my left eyeball for my cat to do that to me because my cat won't come near me. So the concept of her sitting there gnawing at my face, I'd welcome it because
no wonder she hates cats. Cats trying to eat her eyes while she slept. Oh my God.
You know what? I have to be honest. That actually is part of why a dog won't eat a person after they die for like days, but a cat will do it within hours. That's why I don't have cats, because they apparently have no emotional attachment to their owners. So
yeah,
I would not.
Oh, that no. Cats are the most loyal, warm, loving creature you will ever meet.
If you treat them right, yeah. But
if a cat gives you its loyalty, it will bond with you. It's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
it is simply overwhelming.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just they're very particular about who they will give that to.
Yeah, but I love the choosingness of cats, and I've seen dogs get kicked and they'll turn around and lick the person's hand. I've seen them be beaten and they'll turn around and forgive. Cats don't do that. You can never mistreat a cat and get away with it. There's just no. I had a cat that was beaten and so horrifically abused. And then for 10 years, she didn't see her abuser. And he came into the house. She remembered. And that right there, that is why I love cats, is because they you cannot treat them like dirt and just walk away and they'll forget. Hello and welcome, JB.
Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There
Okay, good.
is a bit of a delay because we are having, like, there is a tech delay. So if we're slow to answer, that would be why.
That's the upload speed to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we are spread across the United States and Canada and possibly more. So who knows?
That's part of what makes it so fun, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, but hey, at least we don't have Karina's internet. When the phone rings at Karina's, somebody answers the phone, it shuts the internet off.
Oh wow!
Wow, I didn't even know that still existed.
I'm gonna blame Bill Gates again, just because.
It actually happened to us this morning during our my radio show, Authors Write Aloud, when she was a guest this morning.
I saw that. You guys were so awesome.
So JB, I just have to ask, where would you want to go and why?
When?
In time.
In time.
For me, I'm a big King Henry VIII Tudor dynasty person. In that time period, it wouldn't be a whole lot of fun because it was a time of paranoia and backstabbing, but it'd be one hell of a time to visit, just to experience the wealth and the craziness that went on in that time period.
Well, we got to make it clear. We cleared this up earlier. You don't get to visit. You're living there.
Living there. Okay. Well, as long as there was a good place to hide when things got crazy.
I want to be a commoner, not one of the wealthy.
See, yeah, Henry VIII, that wasn't a good time for
anybody,
especially if you were married to Henry.
Not even Henry VIII.
Well,
yeah.
Let's give Henry his due. Before he got knocked off that horse and took the brain injury, he actually was a very good monarch.
He had the codpiece.
Yeah, he was a very nice person.
He was a brilliant man. He was a charming man, and he was an extremely handsome man.
I saw
he was basically the George Clooney of his time. Actually, I saw his armor from when he was younger, and he was something like 6'4" with a 34-inch waist.
He
a codpiece that looked like Pinocchio's nose.
Well, he's the one that commissioned the codpiece.
Yeah,
he's the guy that came up with it, and he invented that style. And at the time, also another style was the pointy shoe. So the shoes would be so pointy they'd have to fill in with wool or sawdust, and they'd have to tie their trousers to their toes to hold the shoe all together.
Is anyone else imagining this? Tying your pants to your shoes to hold? Maybe that's where shoelaces came from.
Well, I don't know how accurate it is, but I have been told by people who've done some studies in the period, this is where playing footsie came about, and the shoe was actually meant for reaching across the table to whoever your paramour was, and gently massage areas. Yes.
I just like that King Henry VIII is famous for, one, the codpiece, and two, separation of things. It's hilarious.
Well, one of the other ones that he should be famous for was a major role in the Spanish Armada, because Henry, when he was king, set aside a stipend for arms research and developing better cannons. Consequently, when the British were fighting the Spanish, the cannons on their ships had a much shorter load time, better accuracy, and more punch. And that was a direct result of Henry in putting this fund aside, he gets a bum rap.
That's one thing that he does, because that was a big issue for him when he was coming into power. Determined and better weapons. I don't know why he doesn't get any credit for that.
I think a lot of it
That was
killed
like his main thing.
Yeah, I think isn't that interesting? No, you bring up a very, very good point. I just saw Batman, and that's just not cool, man. Iron Man is better, but okay, different topic. Isn't it interesting that we remember only the bad things about in the history books? We remember the wars, we remember the plagues, we remember the diseases. We do remember the inventions, but there really is, if there's any positive things that happened, like we kind of brush those off like, that's not interesting enough. Let's forget about that.
I don't know who said it. I've heard it a few times, but it's life is a series of short, happy moments interspersed with long periods of dreadfulness.
This sounds like something Ben Franklin would say.
And you think about it, and it's like, you know what? That's true. I mean, it's every 2 weeks you get paid. So, and that's only fleeting. You got bills. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's a great way of putting that.
I mean, what are you gonna do? It's just one of those things.
One thing I will say about no matter what time period you're in, for comfort's sake, being in that sort of medium, moderately wealthy, but not having to be involved with the politics and power plays. So you're high enough up in the social rank, like a count, a petty duke, but you can be the big fish in the small pond. Probably the best way to survive and the least uncomfortable way to manage it.
But I wouldn't have been in any of those. I look back at my history. History thing where you had to go back into the life of the family history person. Yeah, I'd stay where I am because they were never better off than I am right now.
Man.
I actually am the 19th Irving of Aberdeen, heir pretender to the barony of Drum. So I do have ancestors in that sort of royal lineage, but basically what it means is if you nuke Scotland and then killed probably about 50,000 other people, I'd get a bankrupt castle on an irradiated patch of Scottish soil.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about, and this is going to sound really weird, so kind of hang with me during this rant. But that's the thing about being white, is we're so interbred that we're all related to royalty somehow.
Yes.
And the bubonic plague wiped us out so many times that we all became so interbred. We became so weird. We're all each other's cousins. And
family hug.
Yeah, family hug, man. And whereas he's got to go through 50,000 people. If you go through another 50,000 people, I'll probably get that irradiated in castle. Or if you go through 75,000 people, she'll get it. Or
I'm a huge with genealogy, and my uncle actually did for 40 years. He did the work of digging out all like birth records, and he actually has a full family tree that goes back easily 500 years, to the point where I can trace down to my family came off the Mayflower. 11 of the people there died on the ship. We have a list of all the names, and I can tell you exactly who is where. We're related, and
we are. My family came over. My mother's family came over on the Mayflower. Yeah, but my father's family were the Jews that were running the ship. So
Yeah, and we also, while he was going through all this, I found out that my great great, 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 11 greats grandfather was the Captain Lamberton of the Phantom ship. So that meant something at one point, but my family's been immortalized in word, and that's I'll be forgotten, but that's okay, because my 11th to the great power, my great to the 11th power grandfather was the captain of that ship. So that's all I've got. And I know that we have royalty, but like, yeah, I think you said it best, Nicholas. Everyone has royalty. We're all family now.
It's just who's the closest.
Mine goes all the way back to the 15th century on one side.
Mm-hmm.
No royalty. I've got no royalty.
You got some somewhere. You just missed it.
I found out that my great-great-grandfather hunted and killed and ate alligators in Florida. I had no clue.
That's just Cajun.
I had no clue. You need to understand, I am like New England all the way. And I found out that my grandmother grew up in Florida. And I'm like, okay, but I found a picture of her mother at age 12 standing next to her father who just killed himself a crocodile. So I'm just like, dude.
You trace it back a little further, you'll probably find that you have a Canadian ancestor, because the Cajuns were actually the Acadian French who were expelled from Nova Scotia, and they went down the coast and they settled in the Louisiana area. So, and I have some Cajun blood in me as well. I had one who was a Irish immigrant, and he ended up marrying a Acadian woman who was left in Nova Scotia because they didn't kick out the women; they only kicked out the men.
Mm-hmm.
So oppressed and oppressors both.
Yeah.
So we've got off topic. Is it time for? Would you say it's time for a new topic? Because we kind of beat this horse to death.
We are closing down now. It is 8:00. We've talked about it. It is 8. Yeah, it did go by fast. We can revisit this topic later, or we can present a new topic. And if you want to bring it up again, we can do a part 2. You're more than welcome to. Just punch it into the Google form I have. If you go to my website, angelabchrysler.com/nerd-rage, there is a submit an idea, so you can resubmit another idea if you want, so we can beat that topic to death. And I'm going in there to talk about cats. Like, I'm going to put like an animal lovers thing in there just because.
Of course.
How about cats through the ages and in fiction?
It doesn't have to be cats. It can be anything. Like I said, I love animals. I'm just particular to felines. But yeah, you can talk about how great the dog is. I don't care. Or horses. Or leopards. I don't care.
Actually, a great one. Familiars in fiction.
Yeah! Yeah, that's going down.
That was excited.
So all I got to put those ideas in the Google Forms.
Yes.
Because Angela will remember later.
That's right. Google Forms, or I'm going to lose it. So I do want to thank you everyone very much for joining us. And we're definitely going to have some information up on the Nerd Rage page for everyone if you want to learn about our books, what we do when we're not sitting here yapping at each other. And also, I do want to give a huge thank you out to Karina, who was unable to join us because she's in Greece and it's like 3 a.m. over there right now. But she has a radio show, K Contest Author Assist, and I just wanted to give her a shout out because she wasn't able to join us tonight. So, but thank you very much.
Okay, well, thanks for having us.
No, you're very welcome.
It was fun.
Yep.